Hey there, welcome back to the shop. Today, chipping away a little bit at the front clip. Just trying to get that all squared away, make sure everything's lined up. The firewall here, it's just clamped. We've got to weld that onto the tub, but it's nice to make sure all the body panels line up before you kind of send her home, because there's no going back. Well, there is going back, but it makes a mess. So just looking to get everything lined up, squared up before we get the firewall tacked onto the tub. I think we're pretty close on the firewall, but it's just like I say, it's nice to do the body panels to make sure, because it's easy enough to do. It's easier to fix things before things are kind of finally welded in. So that's the goal for today. Shouldn't go too bad. I've fiddled with it a little bit already. I've spent about a day or two poking around, trying to see exactly what's going on. The black fenders that you see here are actually aftermarkets from Taiwan. Like anything aftermarket in the FJ40 space, they have their quirks. Some of the holes don't appear to line up, but we're getting there. We're kind of working them back into shape. I'm sure they'll take a little bit more finesse, but we'll get that going. Goal obviously is to get that done before you do paint. You want to find all those issues before you get into kind of the final body work, otherwise you're ended up redoing paint. So that's the goal for today. Enough yapping, let's get cracking. So after a bit of trial and error from the last couple days, one thing I found was working from the firewall forward obviously helps. I did end up putting there's a support bracket underneath the running board here. That helped get that running board where it's supposed to be, which is another one of those points. There is a seam right there where the fender meets the running board, so it does help to have that running board tacked in and final, so you can get that joint between the fender and the running board. This side lined up fairly well. The one on the driver's side was a little bit crooked, but we can bring it back. I was able to pull it with some metal clamps, so I think we can get that to work around. So that's a good starting point on these fenders, because it will have to meet there. It will have it. You know, that's not really a joint you can mess with. Some of the holes don't seem to be quite right. There's kind of mounting holes that go up the fender. There's a couple down the firewall here. Those may need to get ovaled out. We'll see as we work these forward. But here's a better view of the support brace that comes up underneath the fender. Whoa, there's a whole pile of bites. So here's the support brace that comes up from the frame rail. You can see it's got some, just a couple of M10s, I think, M8s maybe. And that's where we need to use those shims to get that fender to line up left and right. So we'll kind of get those wiggled in. We'll see where it lands on the hood, and kind of keep working it forward. Next up, time to work the bib. The two fenders are sitting pretty good. If you look down the side aprons, they line up pretty well. Lengthwise down the truck, they line up pretty well. Vertically, they're pretty close to where the hood is. The next interesting point is going to be to see how well this bib sits. These flanges seem to be off. I think I'm going to have to dolly them with the hammer and the dolly block. Luckily, they're kind of pretty simple, but they don't seem to be quite in the right spot. We'll see when we put the bib back in, though. Never can tell. We're going to leave the bib floating. This guy is pretty terrible. It is interesting as you work on it how you can see how they designed it for serviceability in the field. And it did have origins in as a military, kind of like the Willys. It started in that era, kind of late 50s, I believe, is when Toyota jumped in. But it was designed to be kind of like the Willys Overlanders, where 2 bolts in this bib plots down, so then you have kind of good access to the engine bay, and really it's only a few more to pull this front clip off. You know, in like a military sense, you're not going to worry a whole lot about your panel gaps, so it was pretty easy to pull the front clip off, and anything you had to do mechanically is kind of all out in the open at that point. Need my 10 mil. Alrighty, this is feeling a little bit better than last go. I think this is technically the 3rd time, so that's not too bad. Got the little rubber bumpers in here, that helps. It is about 1/8 of an inch. They have rubber stops that sit on top of the bib here. Ooh, somebody's making dinner. That smells delicious. Somebody's got their grill going. Well, we're getting there. Calming down. Well, that was a bit of a ordeal, but we got there. I think that front end was on and off probably 4 or 5 times. But it's sitting pretty good. All the bolts are in. We've got all the holes adjusted. There's a couple that need a little bit of cleaning up. I took some pictures. We'll do it with the fenders off. Just some minor work there. But otherwise, we've got all the hardware in. It's bolted down all the way through. A couple bolts are out on the frame rails, but it's minor. Sitting pretty good, sitting pretty solid. Everything's firm. Lines are pretty good. So again, shooting down the hood that way, down the grill this way. The corner sits pretty good. I mean, it is an FJ. It's not going to be perfect, but it is pretty darn close. Probably better than when it left the factory. We got a pretty nice line down the apron and the firewall. Fender sits pretty nice against the running board and the firewall there. This seam from the firewall to the tub is pretty nice. Again, front's pretty good. For whatever reason, that bib does sit about a ½ inch up. I'm going to let that ride. There's just a real light twist. I think we'll be able to work it out when we put it on the final time. This side's sitting just a little bit lower than this side, but pretty minor. These lines are pretty nice and square. Again, the corner's sitting tight. That line down is straight. Fenders are both sitting pretty level. This meets up nice as well. They're both actually pretty even, which, you know, sometimes those are off from side to side. Hood line looks good. Fender to running board looks good. Again, this body seam between the tub and the firewall is pretty good. The door, I still need to do some work. It's a little bit racked. It's an aftermarket door from South America. I think we can get her into shape. Otherwise, body lines around that are pretty good. So pretty happy there. You can see it's pretty straight and square from top to bottom, so I'm pretty comfortable that the tub's sitting right. If you throw a level up from the tire, these tires that are on here, basically they ride just flush with the outside of the tub, so you can throw a level up the top, and if you go around to the other side, it's pretty similar. So I think we've got the tub pretty square. So if you throw it on this side, same deal. Just a hair of a gap. There's about a 1/16 on this side, and the other side rides flush. So I think we're sitting pretty good as far as left and right on the tub. So everything's looking pretty square. Body mounts are all looking pretty good, except for a few quirks. Those couple, I need to redo the body mount tabs underneath. We'll do that when the tub's off. Otherwise, back bumper sitting pretty square. Height-wise, we're looking pretty good. There's the body mount just sitting in there. I don't have it tacked in. But I feel like we're pretty good this way, and we're pretty good this way. So all in all, I think the body's sitting pretty good. So progress. Feels pretty good to get the front clip tidied up. It's kind of nice to have it looking like an FJ again. Windshield's going to have to come out, obviously, redo that patching. That'll be another episode. Front clip's obviously going to have to all come off. Tub's going to have to come off for paint. But that's the name of the game. Well, the front clip's all tacked on. All the bolts are in. It's tight. It's snug. Lines up pretty good. As you can tell by the walk around, everything's sitting pretty well for, you know, having everything off the frame, putting it back on. I think we're sitting pretty close. So next time, I think what we're going to be doing is sending the firewall home to the tub. So a couple bolt holes we got to drill. Got to weld that up. Got to do a little bit of touch work there to get the door sill tightened up. But we'll get that all nailed home. We're going to have to cut that floor. For some reason, that firewall dimension was off, so we're going to have to cut the floor, seam it. Probably do that next time as well when we're getting the tub all finalized. But then it'll just be good timing because all this can basically come back off. The engine will be coming back. We put the drivetrain back in while we do the body work off the frame. There's no need for everything to be assembled for the body and paint. So timing-wise, that'll work out pretty good. So that's just some things that are coming up, like I say, engine rebuild, body, tub, getting that sent home, and then we're just going to have a little bit more body work. We've got to do the windshield, we got to do the rear doors, and we've got to do some work on the driver's doors. So just kind of some fun projects there. It's getting warm. It's like 68, so we should be able to paint soon. So good timing there as well. It'll be nice to get some of this bare metal covered up. We've been kind of skirting the edge a little bit, letting it be. But if we can primer and paint a little bit closer together, I think I'll be good there. So thanks for riding along. We'll see you on the next one, and time to clean up the shop.